G'day, Bomber fans. Welcome to absolutely everything Essendon. Post Dreamtime win. What more can you ask for?
Wow.
That is right. That is it. That is it, folks. How about this? Hey, have we delivered or what?
I think you better explain who this is.
This is a collaboration of the ilk of Adidas and Balenciaga. It's Dua Lipa and Elton John.
Oh. Who's Elton? Him?
Hey, yeah. It's the young up and comer with the crusty older guy. But yes, if you haven't spotted that voice as yet, we have in our studio today everything Essendon, the host of Felix. G'day, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
If any of you are thinking that, okay, we're going to track down where this absolutely Essendon studio is because, Felix has been there, just so you know, we blindfolded him and drove the car around in circles for an hour, so you'll never ever get to the bottom of it. But we are chuffed to have you here, mate. Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
Very good. So we are going to do a review of the Dreamtime game. So you've come over from Adelaide.
I have.
For the game.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Well, it was quite the game, wasn't it? What do you think?
Sorry, before you get into that, I just want to understand exactly how someone living in Adelaide, firstly, gets a visa to come to Melbourne, and secondly, why are they barracking for Essendon? So what's the backstory there?
Yeah, that's probably not a bad start.
Good question. I actually don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess the options weren't great over there, were they?
I think I liked the colours as a kid, and just unfortunately stuck through with Essendon because we've had some tough times, obviously. But loyal.
Gee, good for you.
I've loved them ever since I've started going for them. Age probably 2 or 3. I don't come from a footy family. So
you weren't indoctrinated.
No.
So there was no inheriting the team.
No Adelaide Crows sort of
none
propaganda
of that.
show.
I saw James Hird, long blonde hair. I had the same
answer,
hair.
right?
Yeah.
There's the answer.
I liked the colours, and I just stuck with Essendon and haven't turned my back on them.
But I'm tipping by your age,
done.
you haven't seen a huge amount of success. Is that a fair call?
No, I haven't seen a finals win. I guess in terms of success, what I've seen is that North Melbourne elimination finals loss in 2014. That's about it.
It's a high bar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been fun.
But you have been blessed with 7 pretty useless coaches, which I tell you, over the time you've been following the club, that must be something to sort of at least take some comfort from.
Oh, of course.
You've lived through the Rutten era and the Woosher era.
Yes.
Gee, what more could you ask for?
But it's impressive because, you and I, we're hanging on to the past, right?
We do.
We're crusty, we're old. We're living
by our fingernails.
We're living in the past. But Felix not only still goes for the team, has created a very successful channel.
He has.
With lots of followers. And he's the go-to for information. And let's face it, there's a lot of channels out there now and podcasts. Mate, it's impressive. Makes the story even better, I think.
Yeah, well, I remember when we met over Zoom, I told you guys that I probably wouldn't have gone through with my channel if you had made yours earlier, because really I only made it because I was hoping to, put Essendon content out for viewers on YouTube because I wasn't seeing too much of it myself. But now it's good that we got, both of us on the platform.
Yeah. Well, it's world dominance, right? So, appreciate that sentiment, Felix. I think since we started the channel, there's been a boom of Essendon YouTube channels.
There certainly
inspired.
seems to be.
It feels like it, yeah.
It seems to be.
And they'll probably go straight past us, so good luck to them. But I think that's great to hear. I mean, and as I mentioned before, jokingly, Felix has crossed the border from Nuffy land over to civilization.
Be nice to our guest.
No, he's here for a reason. He's got to get a breath of civilization every now and then.
It's true.
And so you went to the game last night, the big Dreamtime at the G. Great game to be at. Of course, the pre-game celebrations were amazing. It wasn't quite Beijing Olympics, but it was not too bad, right?
Oh, yeah, and my first Dreamtime, which I was,
really?
pretty excited about. So I'm kind of cross that one off the bucket list.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I mean, and well done for coming and seeing us win a Dreamtime, because I think we lost about 10 in a row until last year. So now we got the wood on those Tigers, and we served up a pretty decent win in the end, because I tell you what, Felix, I don't know about you, but I was getting a little worried at some points of that game.
That last 5 minutes,
Yeah.
we talk about close games and how professional we've been this season, getting over the line, and we did it again. But I mean, it was rough that Guelphy play on.
What was he thinking?
There were some moments late in that game which I think
that really, yeah.
Yeah. But the good thing about that is that we can talk about that after a win, and not blame the loss on moments
Take
like
him out
that.
and lynch him.
Yeah. But that really was. I mean, he's had a good couple of weeks.
He has.
He's been
He
great.
did great for that cancer patient. So don't want to throw him under the bus.
He's a beautiful man.
He is a gorgeous looking man.
He absolutely GQ beautiful man.
Yeah.
But boy, that moment. I mean, I don't know. What was your choice of profanity?
Well, I'd
what did you
actually,
run with?
I kind of looked away and was thinking, oh, well, that's in the bag now, and looked up again and saw the ball being run down the other end. And I actually didn't see what he did. I think he tried to handball it to someone running past, right?
No, kick it. Got smothered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a little short
But
pass to
apart from
someone.
anything, at that point in the game, go back and burn 30 seconds off the clock.
Big time.
Right? Just that lack of sort of game awareness from
Yeah.
a guy who's generally pretty good, I thought was disappointing. But look, in the end, we got the win. You bank the 4 points, you move on. And I think what this game showed, as much as perhaps the North Melbourne game from the previous week, is, as Scotty likes to say, the competition's on the edge, right?
A knife's edge.
Knife's edge.
Yes.
And any opposition can be a decent opponent on the night. And I thought the Tigers were very, very good against us last night.
Unfortunately, I don't know where that came from either, because they've been, they've been the out of form team of the comp until last night. Those two losses in the last fortnight against Brisbane and the Bulldogs were
210 points.
But was that
horrible, yeah.
that had to have something to do with the game? Like, they must have had to respond to those losses and show that they're a proud football club. And I think there was probably at least a dozen players out in that team last night who are premiership players. So they might be getting on a little bit, but there's some still decent talent. And of course, the prime example of that is their great Dustin Martin, who decided to turn it on against the Bombers again.
He's always loved playing us.
Yeah.
Always. He sees our jumper and just gets a tingle in the nether regions.
But you had to admire his game. I thought he looked amazing last night. And anyone who's saying that his career's over, I mean, if he might have had a little bit of dip in form, but if he can play like that, I tell you what, I think a few clubs would be lining up for his services next year if the Tigers don't want him, because having a player like Dustin Martin on your side, he just can do those. That first goal he kicked coming in from the 50-metre point, snapping it around his body was a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I think Shea Bolton also pretty well. Those two players alone had 5 goals. So, watch out for the Tigers. They can still turn it on when they need to. But we're here to talk about the Bombers.
Yes.
And we'd love to get your thoughts about the game and what were some of the takeouts from our performance against the Tigers, Felix, please.
Well, the big one for me is our midfield at the moment, which is because we were hyping it up a few weeks ago. After
Big
that,
time?
yeah, we had one of the best midfielders in the league. And we've started to see a bit of a dip in form, and it kind of coincides with the loss of Darcy Parish, who is a bit of a whipping boy. He's not everybody's favourite, but we're starting to realise how important he is when he's not there, because we've been soundly beaten in the guts by a couple of pretty poor teams now. And it's not good because we're leading into games against Gold Coast and Carlton, who have pretty good midfield. So that's what I'm worried about. We've been soundly beaten in the clearances. Richmond aren't a team who are known for their midfield. I think we had players like Thompson Dow beat some of our best clearance operators in there. And
Who?
Exactly, yeah.
Are you talking Richmond or
Yeah.
Was he playing last night?
or was that Sandy? Yeah, okay, fine. Well, he played well, whoever he is.
It's a worry though, especially when you look at our ruck situation without Draper, because Goldstein's just had probably 2 weeks he would rather like back. He's been soundly beaten by 2 pretty good ruckmen.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? Are you worried about our midfield? Are you?
Well, I think you've nailed it. I mean, Darcy Parish is a player that deserves a lot more love from the Essendon faithful. And, he's one of those guys, you tend to actually notice him more when he's not there. Because when he's there, he just goes about his job and does it very well as a clearance player for us.
Yeah.
And, in the games leading up to the North Richmond sort of double, our stoppage work had been pretty good, and Darcy was just coming into some fantastic form. So the loss of perhaps him and Draper in that period of time has exposed us a little bit, and we were pretty soundly beaten in the clearances all around the ground last night. So it'd be good to sort of get those boys back into the side, but I don't think we'll see either of them until after the bye at this stage.
Oh,
so
really?
yeah. But overall, though, I guess the standout for me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys, is the return of a number 14 in our back line, Jordan Ridley, King Jordan of Ridley Estia, was absolutely incredible I mean, he had midfielder stats by the end of that game.
He did. I mean, he just went from 0 to 100 in like 3.8 seconds. I don't know what the car equivalent is of that.
It's a Kia. It's a Kia EVA.
He, talk about just what a return.
Yeah.
I would never... I was thinking, what sort of game
Ease him
is
back
he going to
in,
have?
Yeah,
exactly.
Just
take a few little sneaky
Don't worry
intercept
if you only get
marks.
5 or 6 possessions. We'll understand.
Not only did he rack up those possessions, but the efficiency. Metres gained, 760 metres gained. Unbelievable game.
That's amazing. I didn't realise that number.
Yes.
Were either of you guys worried watching Ridley? Because I saw him.
Something might snap.
His quad.
He was that first quarter. I was worried. I had my head in my hands. He was running through for those 1-2s. Like it was worrying. But also another stat that you like is he had 8 intercept marks by 3/4 time, and the record in the AFL ever is 10 in a game.
Right. Wow.
He didn't get another one for the rest of the game, but still, it shows how important he is and how important Mackay is to this team now, because Ridley is able to be free and he doesn't have to worry about his opponent.
That's the key, isn't it? Is that Ridley could pretty much do what he liked. Who was he playing on directly? It was really no one in particular, was it?
He was often taking like a third tier forward, like a Noah Cumberland type, who you don't really need to worry about.
And he's going
to
eat those guys alive.
Exactly. He didn't lose a one-on-one, of course, because he's on those worst forwards, and that's because of Mackay, who's taking the better marking targets. But it pretty much just means he's unopposed, and we do often have a loose man in defence anyway. We do sometimes take a number away from a stoppage, so we can have more numbers down back, and it's a big reason why
It's nice having this sort of analytical.
Exactly. I was thinking exactly.
It's like Greek to me. I have no idea what he's talking about, but it sounds bloody good. Keep going.
Our viewers are going to love this shit.
Because we did most of our scoring in the front half from turnovers, which is where you want to get the turnovers, and that's pretty much just because down the line we had a loose number. Ridley was that guy often. And when you have a guy who can not only intercept the ball, because Mackay can do that, Mackay can take those big intercepting marks, but bite off those kicks that, midfielders can't even do. It's just fantastic. I love Ridley.
Yeah, he's amazing. I think 9 goals, 3 from turnovers for the Bombers last night.
Yeah.
So even though we weren't winning at the clearances, I think what we've become so good at now is defending turnovers or taking advantage of the opposition's turnovers and converting that into scoring opportunities. And they did that well last night, despite their lack of dominance at the centre bounce and around the ground stoppages. So, a great return from Ridley. And it makes you wonder, and I think, to be fair, Laverde played pretty well last night, but surely Zach Reid is sort of being primed to come into that defensive 3. And you would struggle, perhaps other than maybe Melbourne, with May, Lever, is it Salem? I don't know whether you'd find a better sort of 3 key defenders in any single side in the competition. Perhaps I'm over talking it, but gee, if last night's performance was anything to go by, we have got a defence to be very, very excited about. And I thought also, just to talk about some of the key players, we made comment about a certain Nick Hind.
Yes, we did.
A couple of weeks ago.
He deserves another mention, because honestly...
What did you think of his game last night, Felix?
Yeah, I don't know where this has come from either, because it was only a few weeks ago where we were praising him for his work off half-back in a game. And we were saying that he's found his spot in the team almost, and then he comes and plays on the other side of the field, racks up 20, 25 touches and a goal.
Yeah.
He was
2 goals, I think.
2 goals.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, 2 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, and that's the great thing about Nick Hind, is that he's not a star of the team or anything, but he goes about and plays his role anywhere. And I guess he did more than play his role last night.
But he was playing off a wing, I think, for a lot of last night, wasn't he? And into the half forward.
High half forward wing.
And I think that's his place in the side. I mean, he applies a bit of pressure too. He's got the pace, so he can break open the game. And his efforts last night were pretty special. And to get a couple of goals was also very valuable.
No, very, very much so. And I really, this is probably talking more about Merritt than Hind, but still, it was a lovely moment in that last quarter when we really needed that sort of goal to settle things down. Merritt in the centre, or sort of slightly on the wing, gets the ball to Hind, who runs, kicks it to the forward line, sort of off the pack. Who's there to crumb it? Merritt. I don't know how he got down there, and then kicks that goal,
running into the open goal.
Just amazing. We really needed that. So, I mean, are we? Because I've just been wrestling with it all morning. Are we arrogant to have expected more last night from the team, or should we just be grateful? Because our position on the ladder is probably lying a little bit, probably lying a lot.
That's interesting.
It's telling porkies.
Yeah.
So, is it arrogance to because I think there's a sense amongst the faithful the last couple of weeks of frustrated expectation, hoping for more. But the fact is, we got the wins when, especially last night, it could have gone the other way.
I don't know if it's arrogance, but it does. To me, it paints a picture for where we stand in comparison to the good teams of the comp. Because you look at a Melbourne or a Collingwood or maybe not a Collingwood because they're known for their close games, but the good teams of the comp, they put away the bad sides. And something we haven't been able to do in years is put away the bad sides. We've had, I guess, a 50-point win against West Coast last year, a 40-point win against North Melbourne last week.
Yeah.
They're both wooden spooners. Aside from that, we haven't really had a big win in a couple of years, and that's really frustrating because it's a tough competition, and it's only going to get tougher if every game is a tough one for you. So to not be able to put away bad teams, and Richmond are a bad team, let's be real. They had a good night, but we shouldn't be struggling against a team who are struggling to field a team of their own. They have so many injuries. Even on top of injuries, their list is in a shape which is not ideal, and their fans will agree with that. I think it tells us that we're second on the ladder, but I think realistically
there's a bit of work to be done.
Yeah,
isn't there?
But does that not say something more about the way that the team is playing insofar as, or even the personnel that we have, that we're just not a side that's going to score a lot of goals? Is it a case of we're a team that scores 12 to 15 goals, we're never going to be a team that scores 20 to 25 goals? Is that the reason why we're not able to put the foot on the throat and just run over sides?
Yeah, but I feel like you don't want to be that team. We look at St Kilda last year, who were so defensively orientated, and that's great. You don't concede a big score, but it's always going to be hard to have those low scoring games. And you see the best teams in the comp, they are able to put on these big scores, which we haven't been able to do for quite some time. And we should be able to. We have forwards that can kick bags. Stringer kicked 4 last night. Wright kicked 4 last week. Langford's, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th in the Coleman. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
We have firepower up there, and we have midfielders that can score as well, but we just can't seem to put it together.
Yeah.
I saw a few moments last night that I think it would be great if we could clean it up, and that was when taking marks just outside the 50. I think it was Hind on one occasion, Archie when he was sort of running with the ball, and there was an option to sort of kick it, like in Hind's case, Nick Martin, you could have got it to him at about 45 metres out rather than going to the pack. That's a far better option. That's a 65% option for a better option for a goal. Durham also on his own, and Archie sort of again went into the and kicked it.
But is that a Peter Wright focus thing, that they look for Peter Wright and
yes, it is.
He's either hot or cold at the moment.
But when it hasn't worked all night, like it wasn't working all night. So surely start to look for other options.
And I think with the conditions as well, you wanted to find players on the lead rather than kicking to the pack, because the ball was a bit slippery, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's things like that I think if that was cleaned up, that would make a big difference.
So talking about forwards, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on Nate Caddy. He played his first game last night. What did you think of his performance?
I had a couple of guys sitting behind me who weren't very happy with Nate Caddy. Maybe they're viewers. Maybe they'll know I'm talking about them.
Yeah.
I thought
we do attract a few idiots.
I thought he was fine. I thought he presented really well. I thought his groundwork was was good, and that was a good thing to have because I think Jones would have struggled in those conditions.
Yeah.
So the suspension was a bit of a blessing for Caddy to debut on such a big stage and also impact the game like he did. I think he would have had a better night than Jones would have. Because he is better on ground level, he's faster, he's hard at it as well. That's what I really like. First game, he's going in hard.
Is there a place for both Jones and Caddy in that side, do you think, going forward?
Not if Wright and Langford are there and Stringer. Similar builds. It's going to be a tall forward line if they're both there, especially if we have two rucks at the same time, which we do like to do. I don't think so. And that's the issue is who plays. Are we just going to keep them both and switch them around in the reserves?
But you would have to say that Jones deserves to get his place back next week, right?
Yeah.
Based on the first 10 games or whatever of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Caddy was promising. He had he showed decent signs, but Jones against Gold Coast, against a really decent backline, what they have, I'd rather him in the side, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And it will be an interesting issue. Maybe, Peter Wright might be the weak link in that forward line. I know that's hard to believe, but Peter he struggles at the moment with his marking, and he's like just said, hot or cold.
Yeah.
So
hats off. He was all over the ground last night. He was trying.
He was, and I think he always contests. And I think if nothing else, he does bring the ball to ground, and provides opportunity for the smaller players. And last one on the forwards, I just wanted to perhaps acknowledge Jake Stringer, who I think in the first quarter kicked 3 goals.
Yeah. No yips last
No,
night.
he was brilliant. And in his 200th game, I think he's just got himself a contract extension. No question about that. And what a great thing to see him and Martin playing. Two similar type players, Bulls. And when they get the ball in their hands, I know I'm going on about Dustin Martin, but I am a fan. I've got to be honest, he's amazing. But I thought Jake was also brilliant last night, and he's been fantastic all year for us. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, what do you rate him in the Hot or Not series? 7.5.
He gave him a 7.5.
I think you got to bump that up.
All will be revealed in time.
All
will be
this
revealed.
Reveal.
Yeah.
I feel like though, off the back of last night, doing a quick Hot or Not on Jordan Ridley. I tell you, even though we can't, he's only played one game.
On the back of one game, he's bloody burst the meter.
Give him an 11.
So overall, it was a pretty good win in the end in difficult conditions, slippery, slimy, MCG type conditions with a bit of dew on the ground, which is possibly not a bad thing considering we will be up in the Gold Coast next week.
Can be a bit dewy
and,
up there.
I think it's a nighttime game up
tropical.
there, so I don't know the conditions as well as perhaps you do, Smoking, but that's an interesting game. Any ideas about how we should approach the game against Gold Coast? What's your thoughts there, Felix?
Well, I'm hoping we address our midfield worries because obviously we've been soundly beaten in the clearances 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Gold Coast, they're a good side at home. They're hot and cold depending on where they are in the country. They've got, I don't know if Witz is still injured or not. But if Witz is playing,
he's a big lad, isn't he?
He's probably going to have a fun time on Goldstein, who's really struggling at the moment.
So on that point, is Goldie due for perhaps a week off? Managed?
It's tough because you don't want to put on Nick Bryan against a quality ruckman on his own. Because then, you have to bring out Peter Wright so much and put him in the centre clearances and then you're switching around the forward line. Ideally, we have 2 rucks, but I don't know if Nick Bryan and Todd Goldstein would work well together because they're so similar.
Right.
It's why we're missing Draper a lot, even though he hasn't been playing that well this year. It's that energy and his contested work around the ground, which Goldstein and Bryan don't give you as much. They don't have that athleticism.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't... Good sides, good midfields aren't really too reliant on their ruckman either. So we shouldn't be blaming Goldstein for everything. I'm seeing he's getting a lot of hate right now.
Oh, is he really? Yeah, no, that's undeserved. Is he really?
I've seen it on Twitter or X. Good sides will be able to read the ruck off anyone, even if you're losing. Collingwood go around with Darcy Cameron in there, and he's
Mason Cox.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, there you go.
Although there's nothing wrong with the big tall Cox, is there? I mean, let's be honest. We have one of our own who, by the way, I think did a hamstring.
Well,
can a Cox actually do a hamstring?
He was pulled out of the
game.
game.
That is a pulled muscle, I guess. Oh dear.
Poor Coxie.
Oh dear. So whoever
poor
wants
Coxie.
more Cox gags, there you go.
Whoever made that comment, just don't encourage him.
Yeah, ins and outs. So I guess, what's your views on the changes for next week? I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, well, Cox is a big one because
Oh, you can say
Doesn't take much, does it?
Oh, and Felix has joined the party.
because we've now lost both our wingmen, Dersma and Cox, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but we are rolling out some strange wing choices. Alwyn Davey Jr.
Yeah.
was often there at
Yeah,
times.
he was.
Hind was pushing up high.
Jack Kelly, of course.
Yep, Kelly back on the wing as everyone wants.
Yeah,
that was strange, by the way, because I saw.
Did Sardis play on the wing last
Yeah,
night?
Sardas, and that's the frustrating thing is that he's just not a wingman. He's not an outside footballer.
Yeah.
We keep putting him on the wing in the AFL, which is where he.
You don't want Sardis anywhere near a position which requires kicking, do you?
No, exactly, and the issue is we can't put him in the midfield because who are you going to take out?
Yeah.
So at the moment he's just kind of floating around playing the role he doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably under pressure.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Hopefully Cox's injury isn't because it was graded as hamstring awareness, so it's there still, which is good.
So I think Darcy had calf awareness and he's out for 6 weeks. So
Yeah, we can't rely.
what's the awareness is almost like the new ACL, isn't it? It's like a bubonic plague if you've got awareness.
These what they're releasing out from Bomberland in terms of the number of weeks for these injuries. 2 weeks. Where Dersma started at 2 weeks and now it's.
Oh, he's dead.
Setterfield,
Gone.
what happened to him?
Where's he been?
He hasn't been spotted,
about that.
and I think we need him.
I don't even know what he's injured with. It's been that long.
Hangeritis.
I mean, we need to hold our hands and pray for this quad of Ridley. That's what we really need to do.
Yeah, look, I think that's a very good point. Joseph, if we can keep Riddles out on the field.
Yeah, because with him and Mackay, 1 + 1 definitely equals 3. And we're going to need more than that. Coming up against Gold Coast and then the big King's Eve game, these are a big 2 weeks.
Does the King come out for that, by the way?
Of course he does.
Cuts the ribbon or
Yeah.
something?
He'll be
Every
watching.
year.
He'll be watching on Sky over there in.
Of course, tuning in with interest as his subjects. Down under, the Colonials. So there you have it, folks. I think that pretty much wraps up the... unless you've got more you want to talk about.
No, I think we've squeezed enough.
Are we going to keep
our special
Felix
guest.
around for maybe a couple of hot or nots?
Maybe.
Should
Depends if he wants to grace
We might
us,
do at least one with that, because why not? We're blessed to have him in the studio here, and why not?
That's
Why
right.
wouldn't we want to take advantage
I
of
think,
him?
maybe we could, if you wouldn't mind, Felix. We might put the spotlight on a player.
I would love to.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thanks again for.
Can I just say one
tuning
last
in.
thing?
All right,
Sorry.
here we go. The old elongated goodbye.
I want to say this because this is actually
Yes.
very important. No
Is it?
jokes here. I want to talk about the number 32, famous number at the Essendon Football Club. Some of you are probably thinking of Travis Collier. I'm not.
They went straight to
I'm
that.
thinking of Barry Davis, who very sadly passed away this week at the age of 80.
Yes.
He is an Essendon Hall of Fame legend. He's in the AFL Hall of Fame. He's in the Team of the Century for the Essendon Football Club and the North Melbourne Football Club, where he played the last 2 years of his stellar career. When I was a 10-year-old lad, there was only one number I wanted on the back of my jumper, and it was 32, which was the great Barry Davis. So Vale, Barry Davis, sadly missed, and we wish all the best to his friends and family through this difficult time.
No, very well said. Except I think it's valet.
Well, I'm going to say Vale.
All right, sure, okay, no worries.
Don't ruin the moment,
No,
will you?
no,
With
sure,
a Jesus
sure.
bloody typo and grammar Nazi.
Okay,
Seriously.
well, no, you're Mr. I love the English language.
Well, I'm going with the Aussie version
Okay, all
of
right,
it.
that doesn't. But yes, very well
Great
said.
player for the Bombers.
Thank you.
And was a premiership captain at North Melbourne. Played in 2 Essendon premierships, 1962 and 65. And one of the reasons why I love this football club is Barry Davis. So there you go.
There you have it. Thank you. Very well said. Anyone else we need to celebrate?
Deaths?
While we're
Let me think about that.
No.
Anyway,
I think that's,
so there you
that's
have it,
more than
folks.
enough. Okay,
Thank you so much, Felix, for joining us on
Thank
the
you for
show.
having
We
me.
love having you on, and we should do it more often.
Yes,
If you ever
yes.
get out of the maximum security cell that is Adelaide, feel free to come over and join us anytime you like. We love having you on the show.
Yeah.
We love having someone on the show who actually knows a bit about football.
Yeah, it's been a refreshing change, and just so you know, in future you don't have to accept his pot shots that he makes at the beautiful city of churches. Okay, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I agree. Don't
All right.
worry. It's
He
a
knows what I'm
dump.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Really?
So there you have it.
Sorry,
Well, you're
Adelaideans.
Vindicated.
He's trying to
Vindicated.
get out of there, are you? But, well, if you like that seat, we can leave it there. Or if you like, mate.
His ankle bracelet's going off now.
This collab. All right, we're putting the
Thank you, guys.
blindfold back on.
We've got to get
and
him
he's
in the
going-
back of the van now.
He is headed out. All right, thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, Felix.
Go Bombers.
Bye.